Express the area under the curve f of x equals cosine of x between x equals 0 and x equals pi as a limit. This area is the limits as n go to infinity of f of x sub 1 times delta x plus f of x sub 2 times delta x plus plus f of x sub n times delta x, where delta x is b minus a over n. X sub I is a plus I times delta x, and the height f of x sub I is f of a plus I times delta x. We need to know delta x because delta x gives us the width of the rectangle, and we will also need to know f of x sub I because it is the height of the rectangle. We won't need x sub I in the formula, but we would need to know what x sub I is so that we can find the height. With the interval going from 0 to pi, and since we are not given any number of rectangles, the width delta x is simply b pi minus a 0 over n. N is just n for now, and this is pi over n. X sub I is therefore a, which is 0 plus I times delta x is now pi over n. So this is simply pi I over n. And so the corresponding height f of xi is now f of pi I over n. And we plug this into the function cosine. The height is cosine of pi I over n. I is just an index here. It is not an imaginary number. And so the sum as the limit is, the limits as n go to infinity. The first height is f of x sub 1. So I equals 1. This is cosine of pi over n. Pi times 1 is pi times delta x, but delta x is pi over n, plus the next sum is cosine of pi times 2 over n times delta x is still pi over n, plus plus cosine of pi, the last term is pi n, x sub n is pi n over n. So this is pi n over n, and then times pi over n. All of the width is pi over n, and so a simpler expression is when we factor out pi over n, the width. We have the limits at n go to infinity of pi over n times, and then we simply add the height only, cosine of pi over n plus cosine of 2 pi over n plus plus cosine of pi I over n plus and the last term should be cosine of pi. When we factor out the width, we take the width times the height, the width times the height, the width times the height, so this is still the area. And this area is expressed using the limit. We will study summation, which is the sigma notation, so that we can write this as the limits as n go to infinity of the sum as I go from 1 to n of cosine of pi I over n times pi over n in this section. But for now, this is the limit definition of the area under the curve.